Have you ever noticed that people stare at you? Maybe you walk into a room and suddenly you feel a dozen eyes glancing in your direction. Sometimes it's subtle, just a lingering look from across the room. Other times it's blatant, someone locking eyes with you, studying you, as if they recognize something in you that even you don't see. But why? Why does this happen? Is it your appearance, your energy, or is something deeper at play? Carl Jung, the legendary psychologist, and his groundbreaking ideas about projection, archetypes, the shadow, and individuation may hold the answer. Because the truth is, when people stare at you, it's rarely about you, it's about them. And understanding this might just change the way you see the world forever. First, projection, seeing themselves in you. Jung believed that human beings don't just see with their eyes, we see with our minds. Every person carries a set of unconscious beliefs, desires, fears, and emotions that shape how they view the world. And sometimes, when someone looks at you, they're not seeing you, they're seeing an image of themselves reflected back. This is called projection, and it happens all the time. Someone sees your confidence and feels admiration because deep down they wish they had it. Someone sees your uniqueness and feels discomfort because it reminds them of the parts of themselves they've suppressed. Someone sees your power and feels threatened because they haven't come to terms with their own. To put it simply, when people stare, it's often because something about you activates something within them. And this happens in ways most people never even realize. But projection isn't the only reason people stare. Sometimes their fascination with you runs deeper, into the parts of their psyche they don't even consciously understand. 2. The shadow, the unconscious fascination. Jung introduced the concept of the shadow, the part of ourselves that we repress, the fears, desires, and emotions that society tells us to hide. And here's where it gets interesting. When someone stares at you, it might be because you represent something they've buried deep inside themselves. For example, if you're free-spirited and expressive, someone who has always followed the rules might stare, not because they dislike you, but because a hidden part of them wishes they could be like you. If you carry an aura of mystery or intensity, it might trigger someone's repressed curiosity or fear of the unknown. If you are unapologetically yourself, people who have conformed their whole lives might stare in both resentment and admiration. Jung believed that the more someone denies a part of themselves, the more they see it in others, and the more it haunts them. And this explains why people often stare at those who don't fit the mold, because deep inside, they are wrestling with their own shadow, and you're bringing it to the surface. 3. Archetypes, recognizing something familiar. Jung also believed in something called archetypes, universal symbols that exist in the human psyche. These are deep-rooted patterns of personality that have existed for centuries, embedded in myths, movies, and even our subconscious minds. And sometimes when people stare at you, it's because you remind them of an archetype. Maybe you carry the aura of the rebel, the outcast, the leader, or the mystic. A strong, commanding presence might remind people of a king or queen. A quiet, mysterious nature might activate the sage or the mystic archetype. A fearless and rebellious attitude might trigger the hero or the outlaw. Without realizing it, people look at you and their subconscious assigns a role to you, one that they either admire, fear, or don't quite understand. 4. The persona. When you don't quite fit the script. Jung also talked about the persona, the social mask we all wear. Society expects people to behave in predictable ways. If you look, act, or carry yourself in a way that breaks expectations, people will stare. Think about it. Walk into a room with complete confidence and people take notice. Show an unusual level of calm in chaos and people become intrigued. Carry yourself with self-assurance, without needing validation, and people start watching, sometimes with admiration, sometimes with suspicion. Humans are used to predictable behaviors. When someone doesn't follow the script, people stare because their minds are trying to process the anomaly. 5. Individuation. Becoming unignorable. Jung's ultimate goal for personal growth was individuation, becoming your most authentic, whole self. When you undergo individuation, you stop wearing a mask to fit in. You become comfortable with your shadow rather than hiding it. You integrate the parts of yourself that society tried to suppress. And here's the paradox. The more you become yourself, the more people will stare. Why? Because true authenticity is rare. Most people are caught in social conditioning, playing roles that they were told to play, so when they encounter someone who radiates realness, it's magnetic, it's unnerving, and it's unforgettable. So what does this mean for you? If people stare at you, don't assume it's about your looks or what you're wearing. Instead, ask yourself, what might I be activating in them? Am I triggering their shadow? Do I represent something they crave or fear? Am I simply being so authentic that people can't help but notice? The key is this. Don't shrink yourself just because people are watching. The fact that people stare at you means you are unignorable. And in a world where most people fade into the background, that is a power worth embracing.